Good evening, travelers of the night. Welcome back to The Stranger, where the immersion of an audio drama meets the chaos and uncertainty of Dungeons and Dragons. Today, we are joined by Asteria as Dr. Glass.
I'm ready, Wes. Bring it. Dr. Glass can take it. She can take it all.
Shane as Trevor.
A rife with strife, low life, currently charging with a knife.
Matt as Inquisitor Nylus von Stonen.
Here at your service in the early morning, in the late day, in the early night, except when God actually needs me, because then supposedly we're a murder hobo party. To be continued.
And Ari as Esperanza.
Have I ever told you that, medical horror is my jam? Because it really does suck.
We're also joined by Katie from the Dark Nexus Podcast as Jane Veering.
Hello. Happy to be here in a straitjacket and Hannibal Lecter mask.
And the Dark Nexus Podcast, made by Plug and Hum Productions, is a Pathfinder Strange Eons actual play audio drama that we strongly recommend. So check them out, because they're starting a new season as well very soon, and now's the perfect time to catch up. Also, stick around after today's episode and we'll play a clip for their show. Without further ado, let's get into today's session. Jane.
Hello.
Before you started your new regimen of medication, there was a reason why a new regimen was needed to begin with. You had just taken your medicine, which suppresses a bit your abilities. Not entirely so. But something else was happening in the background, wasn't it? And as Ephram sat in your room reading a book, keeping you under observation, what did he see as your abilities started to manifest for the first time?
I wonder if it looked familiar to him. Her fingers, her feet, her jaw started to lengthen. Sudden violence, turned over and was on her all fours. Hair began to sprout from the back of her neck and coated all the way down her body and arms and legs. Eyes turned yellow, ears sprouted back at high alert. And she turned to him and she growled.
He slowly puts his book down, looking at you as this is happening. From the hallway, two orderlies rush in, and he stands and puts his hand up. Wait, let's see where this goes. And you fully transform, turning into a wolf, and begin growling at him. He's going to take a knee as he looks towards the bed, and like the leader of a wolf pack, that level of intimidation, he looks you in the eyes. And I'm just going to roll this for you.
Yeah.
You can react how you wish.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 18 intimidation check that he made against you.
Well, there's doubt. I know I've taken the medication. I don't know how long I can maintain this. I want to pounce. I don't want this alpha. I don't want this leader of... I am the leader of my own pack. And I feel very strongly in that. But there is this doubt of... He hasn't tried to stop me. He isn't scared of this the way I am scared of this. So I think the doubt keeps me from pouncing. But I am waiting for him then to make a move.
He, in this gaze, looking into your eyes, he drifts subtly forward. Make an acrobatics check.
16.
Quickly, he moves his arms and grabs onto 2 tufts of fur to your sides as he tries to hold you steady. And he says, "Now you just got a lot more interesting to me." And now, standing in a straitjacket and muzzle, waiting, biding your time to see what's going to happen. You see that over the horizon, where the sun has begun to set, the moon rises, the storm clouds gather overhead with thunder clapping in the distance, and something about a combination of factors permits you full use of your abilities. You are bound and restrained. What do you do?
He's looking at me, yeah.
He turned his back to you, he went to his waist belt, he grabbed that blunderbuss and pointed it at those who were coming towards him. And Trevor, you can see just by passive perception and insight the subtleties of his movements. He is about to rush.
I know what you want from me. And I'll not give you that satisfaction. Do I have an action here?
You have an action as a surprise round before we go into initiative.
It's a bonus action. From beneath the fabric of the straitjacket and whatever patient's robe she had on, you all can see points of light shining out with a sort of cold radiance at various points in her body. In the fading twilight of dusk, she for a moment looks like the night sky beginning to light up with stars, which of course they're not tonight because it's cloudy. And that form, those sparkles sort of fade into what you might recognize as a constellation in your own sky, but on Jane's body, shining through what she's wearing.
Can I interrupt here?
Yes.
From the window, Dr. Glass, you see as Trevor has his knife, you see this man in the distance, just the edge of the wall, you see the tip of a blunderbuss. And shining up towards the sky, this light that radiates, creates these constellations, but also 5 points, identical to the consonance points. Jane, please continue.
That is my surprise round action. She lights up in a constellation in the shape that settles into the shape of the archer.
Everybody, please give me your initiative rolls from last session.
A natural 20 or 21?
17 for Trevor.
16 for Nylus.
15 for Jane.
And Dr. Glass,
12.
Esper, being the first person to make noise also means you're the first to be ready to move. It's your turn.
Once the movement has started and it's clear that things aren't going to go the sneaky route, you have to commit. Esper is picking the pace up. She is running towards him, sprinting. Esper is going to activate Rage. And she is going to reach for that blunderbuss and try to knock it and rip it from his hands.
Please roll a contested athletics check.
There's a 23.
You rush over to him, running through the woods. Dr. Glass, you see as Esper runs from the tree line to behind this wall. and you strike the blunderbuss. It slams onto the ground, going off, letting out a loud explosion, hitting the wall and crumbling some of those bricks. Everybody has heard it, but it's out of his hands and disarmed. Trevor, Esper has just run by you and disarmed him of the gun.
He basically does a juke, like a football juke, to one side, then feints to the other with the dagger still in hand, and is just going to try and get right in his side with this dagger. It's a 14 to hit.
As he takes both of his hands and grabs onto your wrist, stopping the dagger at the last second, and you see his hand start to crack and morph around yours. Are you doing anything else?
Oh, hell no. Still maintaining the grip on the dagger even as his own arm is being held. Jerks that hand back to pull his head into proper position with just a left jab in the face. He's going to be spending a key point to use Flurry of Blows to make 2 more attacks unarmed. Oh, it's not going to hit. One of these has got to. Come on. Oh my gosh. 2 13s.
You hit him the first time, and though it hits him, it's not hard enough to do damage. His head flies to the side in recoiling to your hit, and you just see him turn back as his jaw starts jutting out and deforming.
Oh.
You're making a mistake. And are you doing anything else?
He just goes, and that's just going to be his turn.
You see as he hunches over, his hands slam onto the ground as his spine arches in this C shape, his bones cracking before you. You see fur coming out of his skin, like pushing it apart. You see blood in the places that it protrudes through. And you see as his hands, digging into the earth, start growing brambles around them. You see them starting to come from the ground all around, as if they're coming from his hands and looping into the ground and rising out the sides. And I need everybody, except for Nylus, to roll a dexterity saving throw.
Just a point of order. I have danger sense, so if I can see it happening, I have advantage. That will negate the disadvantage from exhaustion. 16.
15.
10.
Jane, Esper, you're able to quickly pull your feet out and move to the side as a wall of brambles starts growing from the ground, breaking through them, just taking surface cuts as you make your way out of it. But Trevor, the brambles, they start to grow around you, and they wrap so quickly around your calves, your legs, and start growing up that I need you to take 27 points of damage as they wrap around and engulf you. And this is rough terrain, as you're in a bed of bramble. Everybody else is pushed 5 feet to the side.
Oh, you probably hear quite the scream coming from that.
Nylus, you still have yet to be seen. That means you're with advantage if it's an attack.
Nylus observing the fight that it is, the loud bang, the chaos of the fight itself. This mini tornado of a whirlwind building up that seems to be heavily obscuring everything from the outside, trying to peer within.
Nice.
And he casted Silent Image as he's now concentrating.
Jane, in this torrent of ephemeral leaves that you know to be completely an illusion, what would you like to do?
Well, first, she, knowing she's restrained, she flexes herself as best she can. The lights from her body respond and seem to move like animation in a way, and a bolt of radiant light fires from her toward Ephram. This is a bonus action. Hitting armor class 17.
That's going to hit.
For 7 radiant damage. Then she begins to whisper, and her hands are, you can see them moving underneath the straitjacket, and she throws her head back and howls out this song almost of verbal spell components to the sky, to the clouds above, and a whirlwind begins to form overhead as she casts Call Lightning.
You see as the clouds start to come down in this torrent, kind of being pulled towards you magically. And does anything happen, or are we waiting on that one?
Yes, a bolt of lightning flies down at Ephram, in addition to the starry bolt that he just took. The save is Dex DC 15.
He fails. It is stormy. The lightning begins to gather in the distance, and you see every time lightning and thunder strike, the lightning shoots from the distance towards the center of this torrent you've created.
Very, very much like to hear that. So, on a failed save, it would deal 18 points of lightning damage. She's just really, really angry right now.
That's 18 points of lightning damage as it strikes down, and you see as the tufts of his fur in the middle of the transformation just shoot off to the sides, and as he transforms into this wolf-like creature, you see it's not even hairy anymore. It's just these matted tufts of fur that are singed from the lightning. Are you doing anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna move.
Go for it. And Dr. Glass, you see out of the window as there is a loud bang, and the blunderbuss goes off. It lights up the scene for a moment. You see the lights shine up, and then the torrent of wind start to whip around. Nylus, there's a save to be able to check if Dr. Glass can see through it, right?
Correct. It is an investigation check, which you have to take as an action if you are trying to decipher if this is an illusion or not, or just trying to investigate in general. And people physically interacting with it would notice it without an action, and then they can see through it. But otherwise, it just heavily obscures everything that is within, as it's this motion of illusion.
You also see the clouds starting to gather towards the center in this ball. There's definitely something happening here. And you hear from Dr. Faust behind you. What was that? It's your turn.
And what I'm thinking about is the attendants. I knew immediately they were there because of me. And at first, that didn't surprise me at all. I know I'm not trustworthy. My thought was, oh, very good. You should have someone to keep an eye on me. I'm also thinking he should be underestimating me. He's a very attractive man and is used to charming people. He just told me that he knows about people with powers, and he brought up out of nowhere Horace Moreland, whose hospital I fled because I was worried about being outed as a Nexus bound and being shipped off here. Do I feel like those attendants are here because this is a trap and he knows what I am?
I would say that is too big of a insight to check.
Great.
What you do know, though, is that these attendants are probably here as a backup plan to you.
All right, fair enough. When I hear the sound, I'm going to start and look around. Hand on the heart, my goodness, what? It's such a fright. I'm going to look at the control panel. I'm going to use my action to mess with that control panel.
It would be an active perception check as an action to look in more detail.
All right, then hit every button on the elevator, and with my bonus action. All right, so which attendant looks weaker? The gentleman? The skinny fellow? As he stands up, he will get a telekinetic shove behind the knees so that he stumbles as he stands up.
Okay, and what's the save?
11 plus my charisma mod is 15.
Okay. As the mage hand goes back and begins prodding with the buttons and levers on the panel, this young man who stands from the chair stumbles forward, tripping, tumbling the chair over with him, making a noise just at the right time to cover up the prodding of the control panel. But out of the corner of the eye, what you notice is each time a lever moves or a button is pressed, nothing is happening. And in this moment, as you look at the control panel and then down to the ground, you see, of all things, it is unplugged because of past tampering with this device.
As a reaction to the fall, I'll be like, goodness, and just back up. against the map desk
Okay.
and be blocking the control panel.
You see as Dr. Faust looks around, first looking outside, and before looking around the room, you see him really focus in on this torrent. And he says, "That can't be normal. Why don't you go check on it?" And as this kid gets up and stumbles, the other one says, "I'm on it," and heads out of the room. And you're left with just Faust and this kid. And Esper, it's your turn.
She's gonna try and jab right through it, pulling out the sword and thrusting it through the brambles.
Go ahead and roll to hit.
This is a +2 because of major dependency. That is a 29.
That's more than enough. Please roll damage.
And this is a total of +4 because of rage and major ether dependency. So there's a 17 damage as she tries to pierce through the brambles.
You hear the whinny of a dog as something is struck within the bramble.
You're still in there.
Are you doing anything else?
Nothing yet.
Trevor, you're currently enraptured in these brambles. It's rough terrain, and moving will cause damage, but you can attack from where you are.
Trevor, who is not doing well, profusely bleeding. Yeah, he's going to try and thrust through with the dagger. Might as well. Okay. That is a 24.
That's more than enough.
Does Esper count as adjacent to the to Ephram?
Yes, certainly she does.
Then just out of this pillar, this wall of bramble, just this big, thick arm just plunges through and gets him right in the side where he intended to, and is going to deal 7 points of piercing damage. Hurting this thing is more important than defending himself in this moment, so he is going to keep on trying to backhand this guy through the bramble with another flurry of blows.
Please roll your hits.
That's a 2 on the die. That's not going to do it. And that's a 16 to hit.
A 16 will hit.
Another 6 bludgeoning. And with my open hand technique, he's going to have to make he's probably strong. Oh well, I'll take a risk anyway. A strength saving throw.
That is a 16.
So it might just save. I think it does save. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing happens on a save. If he failed, he would have been pushed 15 feet away from me.
Is that your turn?
I'm not moving, so that's going to be my turn.
Esper, as you stand there, blade in hand, you look at this darkness that comes from within the bramble. You can occasionally catch a set of eyes, but they flicker in and out of the existence behind these various strands of sharp bramble. And you start to notice that it is starting to peel apart. And I need you to resolve a 14, an 18, and a 26 to hit.
All of them hit.
You say all of them?
All of them.
In 3 separate hits, 36 points of damage. As the brambles peel apart and all you see is 2 claws jump out at you as this beast pounces. It's ravaging, scraping your front. Snarling, you see foam coming out of its mouth. Its body is singed and scarred. It's bleeding and it's bloodied. And it's 36 points of damage.
As it ravages Esper, the scratches, the scrapes tear across her face, her chest, through some of her clothing, and the blood just starts to ooze from her, and then left incredibly damaged.
It slowly turns its head around, first its head, then its body. The blood from Esper kind of dripping from its maw as it looks towards Jane. Nylus, it's your turn.
Masinia, as he casts Healing Word as a bonus action on Esper.
Okay. Go ahead and roll the healing, and are you doing anything else?
For 4 healing hit points. For them, Dangere. And suddenly, the quick motion, he pulls at this green necrotic sphere of a cantrip, and he tries to throw it towards this creature as he casts Toll the Dead. Please make me a wisdom saving throw.
That is a 12.
DC 16, and it will take 18 necrotic damage from this red ammonium, powerful necrotic energy that just flies towards it, and as soon as it hits, it's like it vibrates in a bell of noise of the dead.
You hear the bell as the tufts of fur, already having been ravaged by the lightning, start falling out like a necrose aging or rot that starts to enrapture his skin. Jane, it's your turn. This beast is bloodied.
Jane looks up at the sky and calls out, "Again!" And another bolt of lightning crashes down in the same spot right next to him. A dexterity save of 15.
That's a fail.
Then it will take 29 points of lightning damage.
Jane, how do you want to do this?
Let's go.
I want it all to burn up in this electric fountain. That when the sparks of the body and the everything involved in it flow up into the air and cascade down, that it looks like the night sky full of stars.
The lightning strikes down, erupting this beast. You see flesh torn from bone, torn from meat, as it just erupts into the ground with this downward momentum from the lightning. The brambles light up in flames, and there's a torrent that goes all the way up to the sky, following the lightning back, and the latent ashes fall down, sparkling the stars. And we're out of combat.
Jane will run over to whoever looks worse, Trevor or Esper.
I imagine you both look pretty bad.
Yeah.
Bad, yes, but Esper is going to point as she's got one hand on her knee, pointing over to Trevor.
Get me out of this thing so I can help you.
You got it. You got it.
Just cut it off. We don't need to keep it.
And she'll help. She'll start yanking. I imagine Esper is at least somewhat familiar with a straitjacket.
Expertly so. You were able to undo it in seconds.
Oh,
And then if there's an opportunity, Jane will cast a 3rd level Cure Wounds on Trevor.
ooh.
Nylus standing there, still concentrating on keeping this image up that's obscuring them. We have to be quick. That must have gotten our attention. They can't see us within this whirlwind, but I don't know how long this will last.
20 points of damage healed, Trevor.
Wonderful. He's still peeling off bramble from his arms. Goes, holy. I'm going to ask you some questions, but we're going to do that later, all right? So...
Before... We have to get out of here. What about your friend, the doctor, though? We're not leaving without her, are we?
Yeah, I mean... Assume that whatever's in there ain't as bad as what's out here. Let's just pop in for a visit.
We're definitely not getting out of here without her. And he will grab from his, probably belt, his Vox brass communicator, and he clicks it on in order to turn on the sunstone, and it twirls a little bit in order to function. And as soon as there's enough power, he speaks in as he casts the message cantrip. If you can see it outside, if you heard anything, that's us. We rescued, or Jane rescued us. It's a bit of a mess, but shit's on fire. You can respond once. Are you in danger? Do you need us to come to you, or shall we hide? You can only send this message back once. And the message ends, it stops spinning, and it is out there.
And as you're in this room, Dr. Glass, Faust looks out the window again as the lightning strikes the final time. And he begins, strange weather.
Jane releases the call lightning spell, so the storm seems to restore to its normal form.
It dissipates, and what's left of that wall is enough to stay behind and out of sight for the time being.
Does anyone else need healing?
Help her. Trevor's pointing over to Esper.
A little, if you can spare it.
I can spare it.
While that's happening, Trevor, having seen what the events were beforehand, is now going to, while we're behind the wall, kind of start to take a look around. He wants to look at where that blunderbuss is. He wants to see if there's anything that can be taken off of Ephram. He wants to see where that medicine is that got dropped on the ground. He is just scanning.
Looking around, you find in a tuft of grass the blunderbuss. It's fired, and a weapon like this needs to be reloaded with each use. But it's there. You can add one blunderbuss to your inventory. And on the mangled remains of bone and flesh, you don't find much except for several daggers. 3. One of them, though, has, it seems, engraved by hand Faust's name along the blade. Faust.
He's taking all of those daggers.
Esper, you get 22 hit points back with 2 castings of cure wounds.
Well, the cuts just close back up. And she looks as if nothing happened.
And Nylus hears back, I wouldn't mind if you or Trevor stood back up outside the office, but don't storm in.
Like a human voice box, word for word, as they're coming in, he shares that with the rest of the party.
Esper is immediately going to be stuffing that body into the brambles and the bushes that are naturally here.
Jane will help you.
You can do so. There's not much left to stuff, but you're able to hide what little remains. As you get to the front door of the asylum, the door opens ahead of you, and this kid who was sent down to check almost stops in his tracks. What are you doing out here? For the moment, in surprise, he isn't registering each individual person, but Jane, you are in the back of that group there as well. He hasn't noticed you yet.
The lights immediately begin to fade. She releases that starry form.
We were just looking for some fresh air. Doctor's orders.
Roll a deception check. That's going to be a DC 12 for this kid.
I just healed him. Can I possibly give him guidance?
You certainly can. Some time has gone by between the heal and getting to the door.
Take a guidance.
Oh! I might not even need it.
It's okay, it's free.
Altogether, it's 19.
Oh. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Come on inside. And he opens the door and steps aside. I'll go tell Dr. Faust that everything's okay. And he heads up the stairs ahead of you, not looking back to see whether you're following.
This guy, he's leading us to Faust, right? That's where Glass is, right?
You can ask the others, us, if we're okay, but are you? Swords Jane.
That's a complicated question. But I'm unhurt.
We're gonna have to find you a place to hide. I don't think you should go back inside.
Some clothes wouldn't be amiss either.
Oh.
Right. Don't take this as the wrong way, but I'm going to touch you.
Beg your pardon?
As he puts his hand on your shoulder, and with the other hand he does it on his own shoulder at the same time. Suddenly from his fingertips on both sides there's this shining, fancy, magical light that turns into a form of medieval plated armor, a sense of this protection aura which is not visible the naked human eye, but you feel protected as he casts mage armor on both Jane and himself. You have an AC of 13 plus your dexterity modifier.
Thank you.
May Saurus protect you.
We just have to go in and tell Faust that I'm all right now. And we just have to get out.
Does he even know you're gone?
I don't know. We wouldn't leave without Dr. Glass, so...
Perhaps it's better if just one of you goes in to fetch her, then it doesn't look suspicious. They'll think you're still in your room, Esper.
Nylus looks towards Trevor. If anyone can communicate with the doctor best, it's you.
All right. Listen, Jane, that's your name?
Yes.
I mean, I don't claim, I don't expect you to know this, but, like, did they take anything off of you? You seem down to your skivvies. Maybe we could find a storage closet or something that they kept your belongings.
I came here with basic supplies, equipment, and clothing. But I don't know where it is. Look, I'm used to making my way with very little resources. The priority is getting people out.
Fair enough.
We'll figure everything else out from there.
Okay.
Esper mentioned there's something bigger going on here. People are unable to be themselves.
We have to take care of ourselves first. We can't help anybody if we don't have each other safe and out. We have to get Glass.
Right. Let's just keep it cool, keep it calm, keep it collected. Let's just walk on in real quick, make a beeline for where we need to be, and skedaddle.
Nylus, you come with me back to the room. Jane, we can either be found, I think, by the Salted Stout or the Whaler Hotel.
Which is it?
I don't know where we're going yet.
I'm not going back in that building. I say you go in, get Glass, and come back out, and then we figure that out from there.
Right. One step at a time. Let's work on step one before, like, step more than step one.
And us, you know. Let's go.
Perhaps it's not well if someone else sees a jewel inside as well.
We're going to my room to act like I never left.
Right, okay. I'm on the plan.
You had to be my babysitter, Nylus.
Yes. Oh, here, hold my hand.
What?
Trevor is bouncing from the group and is going to try and see if he can follow the guy up to Faust's office.
Jane gives you another guidance by laying a hand on your shoulder before you go.
Mighty kind.
In case you need it.
Trevor, heading inside. Esper behind you with Nylus, heading to Esper's room. I presume, Jane, do you follow on this?
No.
Or you're not going back in? No.
I'm not going back in the building, but I will wait where they left me.
Trevor, you head up to the office, open the door, and you see Faust and Dr. Glass standing. There's tension in the air.
Really? I was gonna say, I was gonna soothe things over and say clever things.
I imagine Trevor doesn't... I mean, he was healed, so he's not... He doesn't look like a slasher movie, but, I mean, coming out, he's still a little disheveled. He goes, "Oh, hey, Doc. Hey, you?" Looks to the two hench people, just, yeah? Listen, Doc, we was just, wondering where you went. We were waiting back at the room there. It seems to be taking a while.
Oh, don't you remember when I said to Dr. Faust, why don't we discuss things in your office? And then he said, yes, let's go to my office. And then we went to his office, which is where you found us just now.
Oh, you know what? You did say that. Yeah, sorry. Just big dummy. Hey, but while I'm here, just letting you know that Esper's doing all right. I think she's doing just fine.
Oh, splendid. Did you see that wild weather out the window? This saturation comes early and it stays, and now this. I have thoughts on who's to blame over in the capital, but I won't say it out loud.
Well, no, I didn't, Doctor, because I was in Esper's room, watching Esper.
Oh, yes. Doesn't have any windows, does it?
I think I'm gonna ask for a deception check.
I have a -1 to
It's a good
deception.
chance.
I gotta play the role.
You have guidance.
Do I have guidance?
Oh my god.
So thanks to guidance, it's a neat 5.
Faust stands over by the window and watches this interaction, nodding his head, just in a general agreement with everything being said. Right. Yeah, I think we're done anyway. Right, Dr. Glass?
There was one more thing I wanted to ask you for the moment. Trevor, wherever it is you were, why don't you go back to Esper's room and I'll meet you there when I'm done with Dr. Faust in Dr. Faust's office. All right?
You got it. He's gonna turn tail and is just gonna real cool like make his way back to Esper's room.
How did it go?
Could have gone worse. Glass will be here in a bit. I think she just had some doctoring stuff to talk about.
Oh, she's still doctoring with my doctor.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
It weren't my first choice to come here, I'll say that much.
So, what is it, Dr. Glass? What did you want to speak about? As he rounds the table and puts himself between you and that control panel. He leans against it nonchalantly. Was there anything else?
Oh, well, I don't want to take up too much of your time at a time. I'm really not sure what just happened with my manservant there. I don't think he's ever been this far from home. But since I've brought you your pet patient back, perhaps you could help me a bit. Horace, one of the things that sort of led to a breaking of the ties between us was files were tampered with on one of my patients. He left town. I don't know what happened to him. And I was very curious about him and his peculiar symptoms. I don't know if you happen to have an Emil Broder in your midst.
He lowers his head in contemplation. Well, I do get a lot of patients, Dr. Glass. But, yes.
Oh, well, splendid. How's he faring?
Sadly, it's confidential. It's doctor-patient confidentiality. I'm sure you understand.
Wes, would you say that, perhaps a veil or barrier has dropped between us?
What do you mean?
I mean, is this a fuck you?
He clearly is putting up a wall here. This line of questioning, he's putting up a strict, I'm not going down this path.
And do I feel it's specific to Emil Broder? And he doesn't strike me as someone who's generally a stickler about patient confidentiality.
Roll insight.
26.
Damn.
His hand grips at the console. You see his index finger tapping against it. Clear sign of an anxious response. You notice he looks away. He doesn't want to go down this path of discussion, and he doesn't want to look you in the eye while he tells you that he's not going to. but there is definitely something more to Emil Broder that he is keeping from you.
Well, I would never want you to divulge anything, but I haven't seen him in a few years, and perhaps we could arrange a visit.
Unfortunately, that's just for family. You know how these places can be, and we're very strict about the rules. We're nothing like the old employers you used to keep. Try to do things above board here.
I'm glad to know that he found help.
Would that be all?
Yes, of course, I'll get out of your hair. And she starts to walk away, and she pauses. And she says, "Oh, what? Do you have any idea who made the complaint against Horace? How did he finally have his fall from grace?"
He leans back onto the console, and he presses a button. There's just a little click from behind him. It was me.
That you don't just talk the talk, you also walk the walk. I think you'll find we have that in common.
I'm glad. And if we're in alignment with a decision to leave the Citadel behind, then there could be a great future between us, Dr. Glass.
Meanwhile, I am telekinetically rummaging under the console to see if it is plugged in, like to unplug whatever. Like, how did he just click a button if this thing is unplugged?
As you look at him leaning against this console, when could this have possibly happened? But you see that cable is sticking out of the wall. It's plugged. And he just did something, but it's silent.
So, it happened when Trevor was here. But he certainly didn't bend over and crawl under the desk, did he?
He certainly didn't.
So, I take a step closer to him. Very cozy. And I look him in his beautiful damn eyes, Wes.
I'm sorry for making him so hot.
I think we could be aligned on many things. We both prize confidentiality, don't we? You won't find me putting my nose where it doesn't belong, but I think we'll enjoy scratching each other's backs.
Good. And since we're both seeing to Esper, we'll be seeing a lot of each other. I'll find you down at her room on my next round.
She doesn't want to push her luck any further than this, and she nods and leaves.
And just as you get to the door, he says one final thing. Oh, and, Emil.
Yes.
If we are completely in alignment, I'd be happy to give you a full update on him.
It's a sore spot for me that Horace, and perhaps some of the other mediocrities at Glave's Rest, stole him out right from under me. You understand?
Of course. He's in good hands now.
Good, he deserves it. He's, fascinating.
He walks to the door and gently closes it before you. Until later. And as you stand in the hallway, you notice something different. There's wings in this hospital. The doors between wings seem to be closed. There's a stairwell before you, and there's orderlies now in higher quantities that seem to walk these hallways. Whereas previously, perhaps there was one who would go from door to door checking. Now there's 3. That's just on this floor. As you head down the stairs and towards Esper's room, you notice the front door to this asylum has an orderly standing in front of it. And you see Esper's room. The door slightly ajar.
When I was looking him in his eyes, Did I notice any sort of gleam or glow other than from handsomeness?
No, he seems very normal to you. That's for sure, but his orderlies, not so much. All of them seem more healthy. Stand up straighter, move with more energy. The orderly nods at you as you walk through the lobby.
I would like to go to the front desk and see if Florence is there, the nurse who greeted us.
You get to the front desk. She's sitting behind with her little nurse's cap and gown as she's filling out some paperwork. And as you approach, she flips the clipboard closed, the papers over the top, and looks to you. Oh. Hi.
Oh, hello. Hello, Florence. Do you remember me, Dr. Glass?
Yes, of course.
I just had a lovely tete-a-tete with Dr. Faust. No one told me how handsome he is, by the way. Probably just as well.
Oh, it would be inappropriate for me to notice that.
Agreed. Just wanted to say that things are going well. I'm not sure how much longer I'll be here. Are there guest quarters for doctors, for visiting doctors?
Yes, there's actually quarters for each one of you. She looks past Esper's room, and you see the doors to the adjacent rooms are open. There's linens and towels and robes on a pedestal, like a little table outside of each door. We've already gotten it ready for you.
Splendid. And how close is mine to Emil Broder's wing? Dr. Faust said he's likely going to link me into his case. Don't worry, I'm not asking for any case files or anything like that.
Oh, I can't speak to any of the patients in the North Wing. But you'll be here a while, so I'm sure you'll have a chance to speak to Faust again.
Oh, he already told you that I might be staying.
Yes, he said that we have new patients checking in, and to expect to make full accommodations.
So very thoughtful. He's a rare man in our field who truly treats us with respect. So lovely talking to you, Florence, and I scurry to Esper's room as fast as my cane will carry me.
You enter.
Hey.
Well, hello, everyone. I don't know if I've made things worse or if that was possible.
But don't worry, we made it worse.
Oh, good. Thank you. That makes me feel a little better. You go first, then.
Right. Okay, so...
What was going on in the garden?
Je n'en sais trop, a little bit of magic flair.
Yeah, we, and he kind of makes a motion to everyone in the room. We collectively made the decision that it would be better if we got out of here. There was a lot of bad intentions for Esper, and that woman that she was connected with, her name's Jane. So when we saw this big guy start to drag her somewhere else, we figured if we're going to take her with us, we got to take care of that big guy. So, I mean, it went as clean as, well, it weren't so clean, but it went, we're all okay. That's the main takeaway here, is that we got him. He's not a problem anymore. Jane is currently waiting for us outside the asylum, waiting on us to go and meet up with her.
And we would like to leave.
And Nylus, when you messaged me and I messaged you back, did you pass on the part of my message that said no one should storm into the office where I was?
Right, so we walked in calmly.
I thought I was pretty good.
Well, Trevor, you told me everything went well.
You were lovely as always.
Did I screw things up? You're making that face like I screwed things up.
It was probably fine. I don't know. To be honest, I don't perfectly know. think I screwed things up by not simply murdering Dr. Faust, which was my plan until you arrived.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were going to do.
And then I just don't know. I suppose I simply got cold feet. And now there's, I had thought that he was at ease with me. And he might yet be, but there are more guards than before.
But I would wantingly want to talk with the glowing glow stick of Summon Thunder that is sitting outside, the magical lady that seems to be in Esper's dreams, which always come true and are incredibly crucial. So I would like to start and finish a conversation with her.
Preferably outside of this building and increasingly away from it.
Correct, my dear Esper.
Thank you.
Wes, do I think we can even get into the garden with all the orderlies I saw? Maybe I could.
You have noticed that there is a strange amount of patrol and security now. You've noticed all the doors closed, and noticing also the orderly standing in front of the front door. It seems as though this might be, with your passive insight, for the group. And while we contemplate that, let's go somewhere else as we look towards Jane. Jane, you find a spot in the garden that you're familiar with. There's a stone bench there and enough bushes and trees to stay out of sight. The only time anybody checks here is when they're looking for someone, because most of the orderlies know that this is a pretty secluded spot. But it's not outdoor hours, and nobody's coming to check. And you see through one of the crevices in the bushes a clear shot of the front door as one of the orderlies opens it and looks around the courtyard just briefly, takes a key, inserts it into the lock of the door as he closes it and locks the door.
Damn it. Jane, she's pretty sure she's on her own and cannot stay here, though she might have some time, because she's also pretty sure that Ephram was supposed to take her out here and kill her. So they may not be looking for her, but eventually they will look for him. So she knows she needs to find a safe place to hide. If she can leave them a message, if they are able to get out. Oh, and then something occurs to her. There is an option. She hasn't had her full powers in a while. She's been drugged and medicated. She hasn't had access to everything in some time. And so things are coming back to her. She can turn into something small that can get into small places. She can only do that one more time today.
That sounds like it also means if you're able to make your way inside, you might not be able to make your way out today as well.
Not till tomorrow. But she would have to get inside and avoid notice by anyone but these people, specific people she's looking for. Which, it's kind of doable. She just doesn't, she can't, it's not in her to walk away from people who helped her who are now in trouble. So, she's going to make her way around the building, avoiding orderlies, and figure out how to turn into a tiny little spider and get back in and get to Esper's room. She spares a moment and imagines the faces of her husband, her 2 daughters, and her 2 sons, and wonders if she will ever see them again, and then gets about it.
You go around the building, And this building, it only has 2 wings, east and west. And you go all the way around to the back where you find just one barred window is open. It's the same patient that came to you in the mess hall. And as a spider, crawling up the building, over the ledge of the window and down to the windowsill, you see the door to the hallway, every single one, a large enough slit in the bottom to be able to freely move about this building.
I go back to Esper's room, slip under the door, and transform back into a human form. Sorry. Didn't mean to scare you. There's no easy way.
Well, no, you just made our job a little easier. Hey,
They locked this place up tight, you know. There was no, you're not getting out of here. Not like that, and out of the front door.
Several questions.
Really? Why?
And Dr. Glass goes to her and, puts a hand on her shoulder and kind of looks at her. You magnificent, silly thing. All of that power and you came back for us. I hope we're worth it.
Why did you come?
I don't leave behind those who help me. And I can get out tomorrow the same way I got in. But you can't. So if there's anything I can do, I owe you.
Can you tell me who they keep in the North Wing?
You know there is no North Wing, but you also know, having been here for a while, that the North Wing is used to reference the prison, just north of the asylum.
The prison, you mean?
well, that more or less cinches it, don't it?
I thought they were 2 separate facilities, at least the maps indicate so. It would explain the way how everyone is treated here so effortlessly.
Why do you want to get in there?
Well, here's the good news, everyone. I was probably going to kick up a fuss about leaving, because the patient of mine who disappeared and set me off on this whole path, Faust confirmed he's here, and I got out of a nurse that he's in the North Wing.
Oh, Lord.
So now I don't have to cooperate with Faust anymore. Or pretend to. I'm sorry, Trevor, that I was so awful to you in his presence. And I'm sorry, Esper, that all of this... why didn't I kill him? There's only 1 or 2 other people there.
Well, we don't have to be quite so, polite. Let's figure out what we're gonna do.
You're not seriously considering all of us, even, I do think we have a lot more better chances with Mrs. Bright Idea in a fight, but you're not seriously considering that all of us will actually fight this entire combination of 2 facilities of both prison and asylum?
I don't know what the next step is. I just know I'd thought this was my chance. That I had an end to this facility and to finding Emil and other people like us. But if they're not even here, we might as well leave. We might as well burn the place down on our way out.
You still might got a chance. Don't get me wrong. We're here. This place is a hellhole. This hospital's got a prison. That ain't... I mean, it don't take no doctor to tell you that ain't right.
You would stay and help me with this place.
Let's take a moment to breathe and set up our priorities if we can. Jay, was it right?
That's right.
I'm ever so grateful for you coming back, but what is it that you want? Do you desire? Esper, she had, I believe, a vision about you. I can't think of that as a coincidence. I must not. Is this place, it's everyone, are they all gifted as you are?
That's my impression. You're either a patient and they're suppressing it, or you're a trustee and they're using you.
That's the case.
Yes, he's selected people, Esper included, for their potential. He's molding you all, or grooming you to be part of something larger. Transcend, he said.
I came here for answers, thinking I might get them, but I know now that's not going to happen. What I want is to go home and for my family to be safe. And those two things might be at odds. Whatever this is, I can do. If it's going to make my family and my community a target, then I can never go back there until I can get rid of it. And if I can get rid of it, I want to know how. But until then, I'll use it. If I have to.
And Abelard told you to come here? Abelard Cook?
Told me to meet him here, that he could help me.
Dr. Class, isn't that your...
You know him. I take it the way you're talking that he's dead. Sorry for your loss.
And I for yours. And I'm sorry that he led you to this place. Your powers, the stars. They made a pattern in the sky. Did he ever speak to you about the star map? You're one of us, aren't you? What he called the Nexus Bound.
Jane's expression is blank. I don't think she's heard that term before.
It doesn't ring a bell, but you know that your abilities are not common or natural. In some way, you are special here. And if somebody calls it Nexus Bound, well, then it's Nexus Bound, or maybe it's something else. Who can know?
It was his term for it. My aunt called us nightjars, which is still what I prefer.
That's pleasant sounding, isn't it?
The birds that ferry souls to their place in the afterlife.
Psychopomps.
Yes. Is that how it feels to you, that there's sort of another entity quietly living underneath your mind?
No. Doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like I had a life and I was happy. And then I started to change once I came to this cursed island. I didn't ask for it. I don't want it. I'd give it back if I could.
I almost dare not ask, but how long have you been here?
I came here 12 years ago. Married a man who was from here. Took me to his home to make a life together. And then, over time, things changed. I changed. Slow like, but for sure. I wasn't safe to be around my own children. So I think you can understand why I took Abelard up on his offer. I don't know that I believe in fate or any of that. If there's a reason I'm supposed to have this, if there's something I'm supposed to do with it, well then I bloody well wish somebody would tell me what it was. And I'll do it and get it done. But if there isn't, if it's just something in the air or something on this island or some bloody curse, then I'll use it in order to get rid of it. Whatever I have to do. Or I'll let them drug me for the rest of my days so I don't hurt anyone I love.
Yeah. Suppose I can relate. You know, you put so much of yourself into something so precarious as other people, you know? All your love, all the emotion you got, you give it to someone else. And then, all at once, as soon as you're cut off, it's like you ain't got nothing left. I got a I got a feeling that once we get out of here, we ain't coming back to this place. This is... I don't know. There's darkness, bad things in this place. So, if I can help you out, get you out of here, give you that chance you need, you got me.
I think we understand each other.
I think we do.
The candle within the room burns very close to the end of its wick. And as a howling in the distance, the low rumble of thunder far away now, as the candle extinguishes, so too will this session of The Stranger. And that's where we'll end it for today. The Stranger is brought to you by Roll for Impact. Dive deeper with behind-the-scenes content, extra episodes, campaigns, and more by supporting us on Patreon. Hold a candle for us, because your support lights our way. New episodes every Friday. Now stick around for a clip from the Dark Nexus Podcast.
We're in the Smuggler's Cave, and we're in this frozen moment. The woman in black with the wrecked face, wasted hair, and hollow eyes is about to speak a name. Time has slowed to a crawl, but your brains are moving 1,000 miles an hour. Roni and Grip are looking at her face, and they are filled with the most overwhelming fight or flight instinct they've ever experienced. Their brains are screaming, run away immediately or kill her now. Kill her right now. Kill her now. Before she speaks. Ray and Dora are around the corner to the south, and they have only aural cues as to what's happening. They can't see her face. But still, some primordial survival instinct is screaming inside them. And their entire beings are racked with the certainty that if they hear the name she's about to speak, nothing will ever be the same again. The world they knew 5 minutes earlier will be a world to which they can never return. Right or wrong, that's the feeling that they have at this moment. Like I said, time has slowed to a crawl, but your brains are moving 1,000 miles an hour. And so is hers. Look at her face. That wrecked, wasted face. She's thinking about loss and consequence. Of course she's thinking about loss. She's always thinking about loss. A loss changed the trajectory of her life. 2 paths diverged, and she can barely even imagine at this point where the other might have ended up. Not that she doesn't still try. Through the haze of Mascaria and Bloodroot and Flayleaf that's dominated her life, she's always trying to imagine that other life. Or lives, the ones she'll never know, the ones that ended all those years ago, when she was forced to make a choice. And she made a choice. Days later, she still couldn't sleep, wouldn't let herself. The dreams were too painful. Weeks later, she still wasn't sleeping. But thanks to a purchase she made down on the Jagged Saw, she wasn't forced to be continuously fully conscious. Months later, she was living out in the Blackwood Swamp, cultivating her own solutions to the needs that were now dominating her life. And soon, she perfected their creation. And when she couldn't make or find or kill enough food on her own, she turned to making her creations for others. Years later, this was her life. The swamp, the drugs, and occasionally the people. And by this point, she was meeting all sorts of people. Shamans from Corganbeer, bandits from Hope's Hollow, a theater company in the Old Town. She made contacts. People who knew people with other contacts, people who knew other things. And one day, a name was spoken to her. And simply hearing it changed her life. Consequence. She could sleep again. In fact, she craved sleep. She craved the dreams, the sweet release of dreaming. That's where God whispered to her of rot and decay and transformation, whispered that loss was not something to fear, but something to embrace, a gift to be shared, and that all those other lives, the ones she never lived, the choices she was never allowed to make, to dream of those was divine, because, upon waking, those lives would fade, decay, and die. She'd always believed in this one way of changing someone's life, breaking their shackles, but now she found another, sharing the gift of the inmost blot. The ecstasy of being the one to plant the seed in someone's mind that would make them forever holy. And in this frozen moment where everyone's brains are moving 1,000 miles an hour, Jane thinks about loss and consequence and prepares to witness a miracle. Roll for initiative. Did you have any guesses as to what was going to happen to Jane, Katie?
I thought we'd meet her much later. I don't know why. This is really hard because obviously I love Jane.
Yeah.
I've been with her for 16 years or something like that, and I'm not playing her today. I'm playing someone who is about to try to kill her. So that's...
Yeah. Dark Nexus. Join us each week for a new chapter in an epic weird horror mystery. For more information, visit darknexuspodcast.com.